Hello everyone, myself Rakshita, M.Com final from MPM Government First Grade College Karkala. So I am going to explain about interest rate parity theory. Interest rate parity. The interest rate parity states that the interest rate difference between two countries is equal to the percentage difference between the forward exchange rate and the spot exchange rate. Usually, in case of foreign exchange dealings, that we can see that there is a difference between exchange rate. That is, the whatever the exchange rate is there today will not be same for tomorrow. So there are persons called arbitrator who is going to make profit from that. Means here they are going to borrow the money from the country where the interest rate is low, and they are going to invest that money in the country where the interest rate is high. So from that they are going to make profit. But in case of interest rate parity, it is not possible to earn any profit or to earn any arbitrage, because here the interest rate difference between two countries will be equals to the percentage difference between the forward exchange rate and the spot exchange rate. About definition, according to this theory, there will be no arbitrage in interest rate differentials between two different currencies, and the differential will be reflected in the discount or premium for the forward exchange rate on the foreign exchange. It is already said in the meaning itself that here there is no possibility for an arbitrator to gain any profit. It is only because of the two facts. One is the interest rate differences, and another one is the percentage differences. Here there exists a parity or an equality between these two aspects, since there is no possibility for gaining any arbitrage. Interest rate parity. Interest rate parity connects interest, spot exchange, and foreign exchange rates. So, in the meaning itself, we can see that there is a connection or a link between interest, spot exchange, and forward exchange rate. It plays essential role in foreign exchange markets. So, in a foreign exchange market, usually there exist dealings between two countries. So, there is a difference in interest rate, there is a difference in the foreign exchange uh, between these two countries. So, it plays an essential role in the foreign exchange market. The difference between the interest rates in any two countries is the same as the difference between the forward and the spot rates of their respective currencies. That's what the interest rate parity means. Here there is a equality or parity between these two aspects, that is interest rate between two countries as well as the percentage between the spot and forward exchange rates. The return on a currency is the interest rate on that currency plus the expected rate of appreciation over a given period. So, whenever we are investing some currency, we are going to get some return. So, the return here means the interest rate along with the expected rate of appreciation on that. Interest rate parity, a currency is worth what it can earn. The value of a currency here is measured on the basis of what it will earn. When the returns on two currencies are equal, interest rate parity prevails. The name itself says that there is a parity or there is a equality. When there is a equality between two currencies on the return on two currencies, there exists a interest rate parity. The relationship can be seen when you follow the two methods an investor may take to convert foreign currency into US dollars. So, in this case, here an investor is going to convert his currency into foreign currency or US dollars. There we can see usually two options. Option A would be to invest the foreign currency locally at the risk free rate for a specific time period. Then convert the proceeds from the investment into US dollars at the maturity. Here, for example, a foreigner is going to invest his currency, it may be in US dollars. He is going to invest in our country where the risk is low, and at the time of maturity he is going to convert that money into his currency like in dollars. In case of option B would be to invest the same dollars in the US market for the same time period. When no arbitrage opportunities exist, the cash flows from both the options are equal. So here he is going to invest in his country only and even in dollars only. He is not going to convert his currency into any other currencies. And at the time of maturity, he is going to get the amount in his currency only. Since there is no arbitrage opportunities, the cash flows from both the options, that is in option A as well as in option B, is equal. So, in case of interest rate parity, we can see various types like covered interest rate parity. According to covered interest rate theory, the exchange rate forward premiums nullify the interest rate differentials between two sovereigns. In other words, covered interest rate theory says that the difference between interest rates in two countries is nullified by the spot or forward currency premiums so that investors could not earn an arbitrage profit. That we can usually see that in foreign exchange dealings there is a difference between interest rates as well as the percentage difference between spot and forward exchange rate, but that will be offset by the forward premium or discounts. So assumes that if the spot exchange rate between two countries, like take the example of India and USA, today the exchange rate may be assumed that for $1 68 rupees. After 3 months, that is forward exchange rate will not be same as today. It may be become 69 or it may be become 67. So there may be either premium or discount. So that will be offset the difference between these two and ultimately that will become equal. Next one, uncovered interest rate parity. Uncovered interest rate theory says that the expected appreciation of a particular currency is nullified by lower or higher interest. So here there is no option like the covered interest rate parity. Here they are not going to get any premiums or discounts. Instead of that, there is a chances of appreciation or depreciation, and that will offset the differences, and ultimately the return will become equal. So there exists a parity. Next one, violation of interest rate parity. If interest rate parity is violated, then an arbitrage opportunity exists. The simplest example of this is what would happen if the forward rate was the same as the spot rate, but the interest rates were different, then investors would. So, if the interest rate parity theory is violated, then there is a chances for gaining any arbitrage or gaining any profits. So that here they are given an example that what would happen if the forward rate was the same as the spot rate but the interest rate difference. If there is a equality between interest rate as well as the spot and forward exchange rate, then only it is called as interest rate parity. If forward and spot exchange rate is equal, but if there is a difference in interest rate, there is there is no parity between these two, so interest rate parity will not exist. Ultimately, it will lead to opportunities for arbitrage. So that can be offset by here. He is going to borrow in the currency with a lower rate. First of all, he is going to borrow the money in the country or in the currency where the rate of interest is less and convert the cash at spot rates. He is going to convert his cash into spot markets, enter into a forward contract to convert the cash plus the expected interest at the same rate. So at the time of maturity, along with the cash, he is going to get certain interest. So that's on the future date. That's on. So he is going to enter into a forward contract. Invest the money at the higher rate. So whatever the money he has borrowed, he is going to invest that money in a market or in a country where the interest rate is high. That's what an arbitrager will do. Next one, he convert back through the forward contract. Later he convert that into forward contract. Repay the principal and the interest, knowing the latter will be less than the interest received. So whatever he is borrowed, that money he will pay along with the interest. So ultimately that he knows that whatever he received is more than what he is going to pay. So ultimately he is going to earn certain profit. That's only because he is making plans in such a way that he is going to borrow from a country where interest rate is low, and he is going to invest it in a country where interest rate is high. So the difference will be a profit or an arbitrage for arbitrator. So that's what this interest rate parity theory states. So ultimately, what we can conclude that the interest rate parity theory exists between the two aspects. That one is interest rate, and another one is the foreign exchange rate between, or spot and forward exchange rate between two countries. If both are same, there exists a parity and equality, and ultimately it leads to interest rate parity theory. Thank you.